Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to this sneak peek of our Tampa 2024 two-day investment seminar. Super excited to have everybody on board for this webcast today. Boy, I know it's holiday season. Always an exciting time just because you're in that season when we start talking about 2024. So I love that. I love that for everyone because this is our flagship event. We are going to give you kind of a high-level overview. We can't do a lot of instruction in this webcast, but do stick around to the end. We do have some very special announcements to make. One, I'll just get off right off the top here, and that is there is a way to attend this seminar for free. And so you'll learn more about that at the end if you stick with us here. So just really quick, I'm Steve Chappell, Director of Trading Systems Development here at VectorVest. Be one of the team members down there in Tampa helping you to avoid the big mistake. That's really what this event is all about is the single common denominator, I think, and having met hundreds of thousands of investors at this point on the road and otherwise, is if they're not careful, you just get buried by information, new techniques, TV personalities, newsletters coming into your inbox every day, and social media and everything else at this point. So it's just information is coming at you everywhere you look. And so it's hard, it's difficult at times not to get overwhelmed by all of that stuff and just stick with a simple system that can make money in the stock market. So that's what we're going to talk about here ultimately. There's more than one way to get the job done, of course, but this whole two-day event is chock full of ways that you can make money in the stock market and do it simply. So all it takes is a simple plan. I've met a lot of folks over the years too that have these extravagant, 26-page documents on how they like to manage their portfolios and things. Look, I've found over my short 25 years now of investing and trading in the stock market that it's the simple things that make money. I mean, it really and truly is. And we can get pretty carried away. All we have to do is very simply account for three things: when to buy, what we're going to buy, and how we're going to manage them. And you certainly don't need a 26-page document to get that job done. In fact, in VectorVest, it's easier than ever. We actually have trading systems, and we're going to be showing some of those. We have some new ones for this particular event, as we do every year. And one of them is with ETFs. A little bit more about that as we go. So it can be easy, guys. It really can. And I've certainly seen that in my own account over the years. And boy, these last 3 or 4 years now, it just really put things over the top for me. So I'm hoping that it's doing the same for you. And if it's not, this is the place that you want to get to. And even if you are, you'll find that lots of folks who have been with VectorVest for 20 years or more still come. We'll talk more maybe about that at the end because, we get better at presenting VectorVest all the time. And there's new techniques, there's new opportunities every year. But we make sure that each and every single one of them are simple, easy, 1, 2, 3 techniques that anybody can do. Doesn't matter your skill level, doesn't matter how long you've been trading. All of these can be done and done very simply. And so I would say if there's one of the three things that matters the most, it's getting the market timing right. So I think there's a lot of confusion out there that you somehow magically need to try to match a market timing mechanism with your stock selection strategy. Look, the function of who you are as an investor or trader really comes into the stock that you pick, okay? The most critical point, everybody needs a really good system to tell them when it's okay to be buying stocks and when it's not. And I don't care if you're aggressive, speculative, conservative, or prudent. Everybody needs that common denominator. And so what we do at the show is we spend a lot of time talking about market analysis. We, of course, have different models. The one that's tried and true, time-tested, and stands head and shoulders above all others is something that we call the green light buyer RT kicker. And so if you've used VectorVest at all, hopefully most, if not all of you have, we have those green lights that show up in the color guard on the homepage, right? And so this is looking at the ones with the blinking star. And we've had several of those. We've had one each and every day this week, for example. And that indicates that it's okay to be buying stocks if the markets are continuing to rise the following session. So we leverage that as our mechanism to start buying stocks and to continue replenishing portfolios for as long as they persist. And then when we get a confirmed down call, we either move to the sidelines or use options or something to mitigate against downside risk that's made itself known to the stock market. So as you can see, just simply on the graphic, one of the reasons I'm super keen on this one, and it's really shown itself to be head and shoulders, certainly over the last couple of years, above all others, is you don't see any green triangles on the way down as prices are falling down the page. You only see them as prices stop falling and actually start making meaningful moves up the page. And so there's always going to be a first confirmed green light and a last one. And so the longer we wait, the more prone we are to stumble across the last one, right? So we want to take advantage of the early ones. That's when, boy, if you're in my trading room, we bought 18 stocks in a single day. And that was on that first green triangle that you see right there, And then we've been replacing positions largely congruent with the reappearance of these kicker green lights. Did take a little bit of risk down off the table today, but we'll talk more about that in a different venue. We are starting to get pretty high on a lot of the indicator scalings in VectorVest. And so that's another reason, to kind of get yourself to this event is learn all the ins and outs. There's always a little bit more to the story, right? So anyway, but it is everything. I mean, it absolutely is. And if you do nothing but follow this blindly, you will be a much better investor or trader for it. And that way you don't have to suffer big drawdowns in your portfolios anymore. And you only take advantage of the good sweet spot of the up moves, and everything becomes so much better. Number 2 then is what stocks are going to be right for you, because not everybody is created equal here, and that's for sure. I mean, the market timing aspect, I think, is a more level footing for everyone. But when we talk in terms of, how fast are you going to be trying to grow your portfolio, for example? It comes down to objectives, a lot of it. But VectorVest is one of the only systems out there that does a really good job at being able to cater things to you as an individual. And so Dr. DeLito wrote a whole chapter in that little timeless green book called Stock Strategies and Common Sense. It should be Timeless Sense, Common Sense. And boy, on page 59, he starts, I'm not sure this is exactly how he kicks off that chapter. In fact, I know it's not. But in there, he says good portfolio management starts with buying the right stocks. It absolutely does. But what he goes into, one of the things I love about the man was his ability to relate to us, at a level that's easy for us to learn from. He's a bit of a sports guy, so we always got along on that side of things too. But in that chapter, he goes into the idea of building or managing a baseball team. You're going to need some sluggers. You're going to need a lot of guys that hit for average. If you're going to be a championship team, put fielding aside for now. You're going to need some guys that steal base. You're going to need some guys that can hit some doubles or triples. But predominantly, you're going to need a lot of guys that just are going to be consistent money makers. And so I don't think it's right to say that you need to pigeonhole yourself into one particular quadrant here, more so than understand what you're dealing with when you do. So for example, I generally carry a portfolio that is predominantly prudent. Okay, it's got more conservative in it than anything else, but I also like to have a bit of fun. I believe you got to live a little bit, and so I will throw some aggressive and speculative positions in there, but they keep them very small proportionately, right? But what we do is we take 2 indicators in VectorVest, relative value, relative safety, and then we have an idea on what the earnings growth looks like on the company. There's more factors here, but in essence, the earnings growth, and then that's with relative value, and then relative safety is, how much earnings and consistent, predictable financial performance has this company had over time. That's your safety rating, right? So if we're not accounting for that at all, generally you end up with a speculative position. Speculative positions, boy, they can shoot up the page dramatically and make your head spin with the profits they can produce, but they can also, and over time, generally cause you a lot of heartache and pain. And so it's not a place that you want to live or try to live consistently. right? Aggressive, at least if you've got some real earnings growth, that's going to give stocks a propensity to go up the page over time. And you can still, because they're not maybe well established in their track record just yet, they can still have a lot of volatility, some good ups along the way, and hopefully a lot more ups, as you see there, than you have downs, or at least the ups are stronger over time. With prudence, you kind of get the best of all worlds. That's where most people want to live and breathe most of the time, because generally you move up the page at a pretty good clip and you don't have near as much volatility. Now, nothing can be taken as absolute. Everything should be taken as this is what your likelihood of your experience should be. Okay. There's outliers for everything. Anybody ever read that book? Anyway, conservative. Okay. Conservative, safety is king. Capital preservation is the most important part. So it takes a little upside away if we make that solely our focus, but things will get a whole lot more consistent. So those are your 400 hitters. Those are your, who is that old Boston Red Sox lifetime 400 average? His name's escaping me right now. Best hitter of all time. But anyway, it's that kind of a player, right? They just year in, year out, quarter in, quarter out, do what they're supposed to do. So a good mix of these things that's right for you is kind of the approach that we teach here. And we give you good ideas for each of these quadrants on some of the best opportunities in the software to get the job done. And then when we double down and start to apply all the intelligence of our new near perfect indicator, then we can even get the timing more perfect on these players and catch them when they're hot, when they're in a hot streak. So not only are they good hitting for average, but now you're catching them when they're hot on that average side of the curve, and so on, etc. Right? So things get a whole lot easier. So we're not going to do a ton of instruction here, but we like these low crosses. This is what Stan calls it these days, when stocks have been beaten up to the point where RTs have gotten really low on the scale, and we have that cross of the averages there. And this happened to jive right with an earnings announcement for Deckers. I think Deckers was down a little bit today, but they've gone on quite a run, since that earnings announcement. And generally we like to hold them until they cross back. This is the more aggressive approach. Then this is a slower, steadier approach up here at the top. Same deal. Catch the cross, let it roll. And I know a lot of people that are starting to mix this now, where you start with a little bit of money, and when this crosses down, take a little off. When this crosses down, take all of it off. So you start working your way into the stock as it continues to go up the page, and as it starts to come down, you start delevering, right? So there's a lot of fun stuff that we can do with this NPI, and believe me when I say that's not near as deep as Stan is going to go in this 2-day event. So just some food for thought before you get there. Same thing for Harmony Gold here. It's been a lot of good gold picks for me using this. I know my gold fields was up a good bit today, at least at one point. Haven't been able to check it since, but same deal. Catch that low cross, and boy, you're usually in really good position. All right, then what we need to know is just kind of how to manage things, and not so overblown as to read a 600-page book by Van Tharp and learn all about position sizing and customizing stop losses accordingly and all this kind of sharp ratios and all this kind of stuff. You just don't need to know all that, okay? You really don't. What you need to know, just simple things. Keep your risk even by dollar weighting. 10,000 per position. If you've got one of those speculative trades, maybe you don't even put the 10,000 per there. Maybe you just do a couple thousand, right? Because you're dealing with a riskier asset class. So, but you never want to get in a situation where you're putting all of your money into one stock, or most all of your money in 3 out of your 20 stocks or something like that, where like if all you own is NVIDIA right now, you're like, well, man, the market's been just plowing here and my portfolio is not doing anything. So, you want to get yourself in a position where your portfolio at least has a chance to go up every month, or certainly every year. 10 to 20 stocks is the way to go to spread that risk. That way it makes things a lot easier where if one stock runs into a big problem, like can't remember the pharmaceutical stock at this point that lost their golden egg this year, but that caught a lot of people by surprise. There was no way to know that announcement was going to be made, that it was going to be turned generic by another company. And that stock price got hammered, was a very safe stock, got hammered overnight. So you just don't want to get in a situation where something like that can happen to you. Or if it does, right, that you're going to be able to survive it. Because it's at some point is going to happen to everyone. I've had, I think, 3 stocks like that over the course of my 25 years at this point. So you need to be able to survive those situations. And diversifying by industry, is another way to do that. And all of it in conjunction with one another is the best way. Dollar weighted, 10 to 20 stocks, maybe no more than 2 or 3 stocks per industry. Right? So not all of your nest egg into just the Magnificent 7 all the time. The Magnificent 7 isn't doing as well as everybody else right now. Now, they were outperforming before, right? So you want to have a little piece of these things all the time. Small caps is what's rolling up the page right now. All right, in terms of further management ideas, we're definitely going to help you decide what market timing models you want to favor for yourself, and you want to stick to it. That's going to largely dictate your outcomes. I mean, it really is. Stops, help in terms of mitigating against big drawdowns, but nothing trumps market timing. Market timing is the single biggest impact on everything, your entire outcome. And then never risk more than 1 to 2% in any single position. So this comes from Alexander Elder, Trading for a Living. And that the whole, kind of high level thought process here is you can withstand 6 or 7 bad trades in a row. but not if you're risking it all every time. You just can't. And so with $100,000, 10 stocks, you have to have about a 10% stop loss if you're all in. If you can't afford to use a 10% stop loss and you still want those 10 stocks and you still want to be all in, well, then you got to reduce your capital outlay and not use the full 100,000, right? So it's those kinds of decisions, those kinds of smart decisions that often do the most work, and then you don't have to create a spreadsheet to tell you exactly how many shares to buy and do all that kind of fun stuff, which is largely futile. So then we can put ourselves in this kind of a position where everything is completely thought out. And if you just follow it, it's already sticking to all those rules. So we'll be talking about this trading system at the show. It's only up about, 400% in the last 8 years or so. And we'll also be talking about this one here. This is a brand new ETF strategy, and it can't be made any simpler. VectorVest it can't be made any simpler than this. So it's literally market timing and ETFs. And you're going to have a safety net stop, but largely you're never going to have a stop. It's just there in case, for some reason, all heck breaks loose. But even through 2020, I'm not sure that it came all that much into play. Just to be quite frank here. Okay. But the market direction does. And you can see these level parts in the graphic. That's at times where you go to cash, let things settle down, get rolling again, and then you jump back in. And then we can try moving the needle every month, or if not, certainly but every year. And that's the name of the game. And then we need to more than double, really even more than triple fixed income performance. I mean, that's the name of the game, isn't it? So that's what it's going to be all about. Okay. Not saying that you shouldn't do any fixed income at all. But if we're going to be messing around in the stock market, it needs to be worth our time. So we're going to be showing trading plans that are going to, kick, and I mean at any time, kick the pants out of fixed income, even if we get back to a yield premium. Ultimate retirement solution, certainly a highlight of the show. Jim takes a 3-prong approach here. You're going to get capital appreciation, dividend income, and you're also going to learn how to generate even more income through options, because we don't have the yield premium anymore. We don't have 10, 11, 12, 16% dividend income. And largely that's probably a good thing, to be honest with you. But, on top of that, he's going to show you a way to make your situation totally worry-free. Who is it? Is it Mark Twain? I've suffered a great many catastrophe in my day, many of which never happened, or something like that. but you always want to have an exit plan or a way to safeguard all the money that you've accrued in the stock market up to a point, right? And so he's got a great way to show you how to do that by use of options. Ron Wheeler's going to be there, and he'll be showing how to supercharge trading profits with using the leverage of options. So, I wouldn't say we're going to go too crazy with your basically you'll be learning the basic approach here, but that's really, the way to go. And so Ron does a great job with that. He's also going to do an options paycheck live, showing the income trade live during the show, which I think is probably, again, one of the highlights, to be sure. There's so many highlights, it's hard to choose. All right, so this is the 2 days. It's in Tampa, January 5th and 6th. We go from about 9 to about 6 the first day, and then 9 to about, about 3 or so the second day. We'll see the times here in a minute. We are going to be telecast, so you can attend this event from the comfort of your own couch, or you can attend live and have the quote-unquote VIP experience, the ability to sort of rub elbows with us, but also, and in my view, more importantly, rub elbows with people that have been using VectorVest successfully for more than 2 decades. Because I know at least a dozen of them who are already going to be there. And I don't even need to look to see, because they're there every year. So I'm excited when folks get an opportunity to talk to them. More excited than even me, because I think it means more. These are people on the front lines just like you are. Not to say that we're not. But I just think at the end of the day, sometimes that means even more to some folks. All right, so January 5th. So that's my case to go live. There's more cases to be made, but I think that's the big one. The ability to see how other people like you are using VectorVest. And you're going to find out it's largely the way that we teach, but they've all got some nuances and things to share. All right, now on the morning of January 5th, that's all core VectorVest. I'm just going to try to summarize morning and afternoon each day versus try to dig into the depths of every presentation. So, you're going to get a heavy dose of what makes VectorVest different than everybody else. What is our core philosophy, our core parameters? How do we rank and analyze stocks? How do you use stock viewer, watch list? And then how do I make money with it? In the afternoon, you're going to get a heavy dose of retirement services, essentially. So how to find the safest stocks in the stock market at any given time, and then how to put a complete system around those. And then we go into sort of situational investing, which is now we're really starting to get into more sophistication with the software at that point, where that talk, I will say, is worth kind of isolating and saying that whole presentation is about recognizing phases of the market and what are the best tactics to implement during those phases. So we talk a little bit about that, and also show off some really good systems there. All right. Day 2 morning is all swing trader. Day 2 morning is all swing trader. So if you're already know you're a bona fide swing trader, and that's going to be your most interesting information of the show, this is the part you don't want to miss. Again, everything is going to be taped. We'll talk about how you can get access to that in the future. So if for some reason you are a swing trader and you wouldn't be able to see this, I'll talk about how you can still get it. But near perfect indicator will be the highlight here. And of course, Jerry and Ron do a great job talking about trading and leveraging those trading opportunities. And then in the afternoon, a little bit more live trading with options on the income side of things, and then how to take all this information and hit the ground running the Monday following the event, for example. We're Friday, Saturday, okay? All right, so it's decision time. I'll come around to some of the questions here in a second. you can continue to try to do all this alone, or you can try to do it faster. A way to do it faster, get to this event. Old Abe Lincoln said if I had 6 hours to chop down a tree, I'd spend the first 4 hours sharpening my axe. And since I've told this so many times, I'm not sure. I'm getting kind of tired of telling it. But I actually did have a massive tree. I live in the country. I had a massive tree fall across my driveway. And unfortunately, my chainsaw wouldn't start. And I had to get to work to do jockey club. So I had to get an axe out. And it wasn't sharp. I had to get through that tree. And I was late. But I think the thing that matters here really is the spirit of what he's trying to convey. And that is, not that you need to sharpen your axe in case a tree falls. That is that, if you want to make the most of next year, if you want to make the most of the next decade, if you want to make the most of the rest of your investing career, it's worth spending 2 hours in this case, a much better trade-off. It's better spending 2 days, for 2,000 or 20,000 in the future. And so go get it done. All right. And so I'm afraid the cost has gone up for live and in person. Streamers, hey, you're easy breezy. You're free of charge. We don't have any cost to give you the information, so we're not going to make you pay anything. I mean, there's some small cost, but I will say this, even at $195, we're not quite yet to the point where even that's paying for the people that want to come live. So it's all cost right now. But $195 is the offer right now. I think that's good through at least next Tuesday, I should probably say. And possibly a little longer. I haven't been given a timeline on that one yet. But I would say it's at least safe through the weekend. I would not put it off. It is going to go up, and eventually it's going to be $495. So that's still well worth it. I just don't see any reason why you should want to wait and pay an extra couple $100 to go. So I've been telling the people the last couple of weeks, $95, it's going to start going up, and here you see it. Okay. We are going to sell out. And so I would be surprised if we get to the next level there, but we'll see. So do it now for 2 reasons. 1, don't pay any more if you don't have to. And 2, it might sell out anyway. All right. So on the bottom here, there's 2 ways to register. VectorVest.com/Tampa. I'll put that in the chat now. So let me go ahead and type that in. I can't put it in YouTube, but you guys, man, if you're on YouTube, you know how to go to a website, okay? Cry me a river. I'm just kidding. I really can, or I would. But the one on the top there, that's for the 195 live and in person, the one that's /Tampa/stream. That's going to take you to the free sign up. And everything is going to be recorded. If you attend live, you're going to get a copy of the recordings for 1 year for free. If you just attend the live stream, you will get access to the 1 year recordings for free if you do an annual subscription or renew an annual subscription. So if you're paying for the service, we're going to make sure that you get the benefit of that education on a continual basis for the full year. Okay. If you don't, there will be a charge. I would assume it would be $495. I'd assume it would be the full price of the course, but I'll let marketing dictate that outcome when they come to it. I have no idea what they're going to set the price at. Could be as high as $495. Okay. So hopefully that addresses all of the questions. I don't see many questions coming in. We don't have the opportunity to do a lot of teaching here because we're doing the teaching at the event. So this is just kind of, what are they going to be talking about? We're going to be talking about trading systems. We're going to be talking about swing trading. We're going to be talking about our own magnificent way of swing trading with the MPI. We're going to be talking about how to use options to produce income, how to use options for leverage. We're going to be talking about what makes VectorVest different than everybody else that's out there and why, and what's the track record, and all of that fun stuff. So this is not your average seminar. I've been to a lot of seminars. Looked at competition and things, and look, you're going to walk out of this place knowing what to do. I'm not sure how a lot of those other outfits get away with doing what they do. And all of it we take pride in educating our customers and retaining you as subscribers. So that's what these prices are all about. We don't charge you $4,000 to go and you don't learn anything. We can even give it to you for free to make sure you keep coming with your subscription. That's the right way to do business. So I'm just going to thank everybody for being here. And hopefully we see you at the show. I'm excited about it. I can't wait to get back down there. That's where I grew up. So we'll see you guys in Tampa. Good luck, everyone. Have a great rest of your weekend. And hopefully we see you there. See you soon. Good luck.